Lynn. Just getting set up at the minute, just making sure everything's in the right places. I feel like I'm a little bit lopsided, so bear with me a second. Oh, that looks a bit straighter. Right, I'm going to, oh, hang on, I've got my sound on, let me get rid of that. I feel like I'm a little bit... There we go, hopefully that should have got rid of any echo that was on my tablet. I was having a little play this morning with Rooted in Nature, and I made 6 cards really quite quickly with it, so I thought I'd just come online and have a little go. Oh, is that better, Linny? Thank you. I'll try and keep my eye on the comments so I can see what he's saying. A little bit shadowy maybe, but I'm trying to do it in natural light today. But we'll see how it goes. If it gets too rubbish, let me know. Seems to have gone a bit overcast now. So yeah, I was doing making some cards this morning, and I managed to make 6 really quite quickly, kind of doubling up and stamping off and things. So I thought I would come on live and show it, just in case. It's kind of quite straightforward really, but it might be something people may not have thought about before. So I'm going to use the lovely Rooted in Nature set. So everything that I use today is available in my online shop. You can click on the shop now button at the top of my Facebook page. This is a lovely big stamp set. It's a red rubber stamp set. Lots and lots of images and lovely sentiments in there, and I'm going to be using just a few of those today. I'll just pop that to one side, and I'm going to use a couple of the new in colours. I'm going to use Rococo Rose, which is this one here. You'll see it better once I've stamped it out. And I'm also going to use, remind myself, Seaside Spray. And the third colour I'm going to use today is Mint Macaron, which is an existing colour of ours. So what I'm going to do is every time when I create these cards, I'm going to create 2 cards at once. And I plan to make... Oh, is Paul watching? Okay, I won't say anything about him. I think he might have gone actually, Lynn. I think he snuck in and snuck off again. Oh, I don't know, he might be back. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make 2 cards at once by doing a stamping off. I'm going to make cards for a beginner stamper. I'm going to make a pair of cards for a casual stamper. And then I'm going to make a pair of cards for an avid stamper. So starting off, I'm taking this big slice of wood image, and I'm going to use my Seaside Spray ink first of all. So I'm giving this a good ink up. Quite a big stamp, so I've got to make sure I get a really good coverage. And got a bit of ink on that card. Never mind, at least there's that was just my practice side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stamp there. Hi, Shuff. And I've only just got rid of him, Lynn. He's been pestering me. Just had to kick him out to go downstairs. And now I'm going to stamp off onto my second card. So there we go, that's given me 2 images. So I'm going to be working on 2 cards at once. I've got my stamping scrub just over to one side so I can clean my stamps off as I go. The next one I'm going to use is one of the skeleton leaf images. And I'm going to ink that up with Mint Macaron ink. I'm going to stamp it off full strength on that card, and I'm going to stamp it off second generation on that card. Oh, hiya, Baz. Yeah, I just thought I'd pop on. I was just saying to Linny earlier that I was making some cards this morning, and I ended up with a bit of a 2-for-1 deal on them. So I thought I'd just pop online and show everybody what I was doing. It's common sense really when you think, but sometimes you just don't think of these things. So I thought I'd just pop on and show people. And then the third stamp I'm going to do is the smaller skeleton leaf, and I'm going to do that in our lovely new Rococo Rose. So full strength there and stamped off there. Okay, so leave my ink pads because I'm using the same ink pads all the way along. And now I'm going to stamp a sentiment in black Memento ink, and this sentiment says, "You are wonderful." So I thought I'd stamp it in black straight over the top of these stamped images because they're quite pale. So I'm going to stamp it hopefully straight over a couple of them in full strength. Okay, so there's that one. And then I'm going to do the same, just move it out of the way so I can hopefully get it straight, and do the same on that one. Pop the lid on my ink. So that's now basically given me a bit of a 2-for-1 there. I don't know whether you're picking up the pale one particularly well on the screen. But I've now got some of the coordinating card bases up here that we can put them on. So we'll perhaps pop that one onto Mint Macaron, and we'll perhaps pop this one onto Rococo Rose. So I'll just get myself some glue. So as I said, this is the card really for the very straightforward, clean and simple design, perfect for a beginner stamper, because it is just stamps, ink and paper, and the fact of using a stamped off and a full strength image, then you get basically a bit of a 2-for-1 there. So really speeds up the card making, especially useful for things like thank you cards, where we often need a lot, and things like Christmas cards as well, or for those of us that are demonstrators, swaps. So are you both, Baz and Linny, are you both going to Birmingham? So there we go. So there is my, oh, thank you, Lynn. So there's the first pair of cards for my beginner crafter. Okay, so next I'm just going to stamp up the design a little bit, and I am going to do something for our casual crafter. So I'm only stepping this up a little bit. So the first part of the card creation is exactly the same as before. Yay, Baz, see you in Birmingham. I can't wait. I've got a little holiday to go on before then as well, and a few concerts, so it's going to be I've got a busy few weeks to go before we see you all in Birmingham. Oh, you're not going this time, Linny. Oh, we will miss you, but we must try and catch up beforehand, or maybe just after. That'd be really nice. Oh, you're not swapping though, Baz. No, I don't. It's a lot of people to swap. I think there's 50 of us going, isn't there? So again then, so for this casual card, I'm doing exactly the same as I did for the first beginner card. I've done the big stamp, and I have stamped it in the solid colour in the Seaside Spray, and I've also stamped it off on my second one. Now for my big skeleton leaf, so full strength again, and stamped off on the second card, and finally with my small skeleton leaf and Rococo Rose, I'm stamping off full strength, and then I'm stamping off onto the next one. Now for this one, for the sentiment, going to do something just a little bit different. I'm just going to step it up a little bit. So for a casual crafter, this doesn't take any fancy supplies like a die cutting machine or anything. All you need is a trimmer, or even a pair of scissors would do. So what I'm going to do, I've got a nice straight edge piece of card here. I've taken the little sentiment to thank you for all that you do, and I'm going to stamp that hopefully straight in black memento ink at one end, and then I'm going to do exactly the same at the other end. Lovely, that's stamped out quite nicely. Just give it a little waft to make sure it's dry. Then I'm going to get my paper trimmer, not a Stampin' Up when I'm saving that for my classes. I'm using this one for my own crafting and saving my Stampin' Up one for classes. So I'm just going to cut off a little 1 centimetre strip to cut off these sentiments. So there we go, 1, 2. Move that out of the way and bring my cards back in again. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop these up on some foam just to give them a little bit of lift. And what I'm going to use some of our double-sided foam strips. Really, really good for shaker cards, but they're going to be excellent for these little strips of sentiment that I want to pop on. So I'm just going to stick that down there, give it a snip with my scissors, and do the same with the other one. Okay, and then peel off the backing. to reveal the sticky, and then line it up with my grid paper. Hopefully my head's not getting in the way, and I'm going to attempt to line these up left and right across my stamped images. Yep, that's not too bad. And then we'll try again with this one. Again, line it up on my grid paper. Really handy working on grid paper so that we can have some nice straight edges. So there we go. We've got a stronger, bolder image, and then a slightly stamped off image. So this time we've just popped up the sentiment to add some dimension there. And I shall get another couple of card bases. So this time I've got some of the Seaside spray that I'll use for that one, and I will perhaps use that one for the slightly stronger colour. Oh, thank you, Baz. Yeah, I created them and I thought, oh, it's such a straightforward thing to do. Really helps card production, and also I wanted to have a play with some new colours because I haven't really had, since on stage and all those kind of things, I haven't really had chance to get them out and have a good play with them since I received them. So I thought it'd be nice. And but I must admit, I am sort of struggling to think, okay, what's going to go with the new colours. I always find it takes a little while for them to sink into the colour palette. All right, Lynn. Oh, you two haven't got any new in colours yet. Okay, well, they are really lovely. I've got 4 of the 5 because the Purple Posy, which is a really lovely bright lilac, isn't available yet. I think they had some quality issues with the ink pad, so they didn't want to release them yet. Here's a couple of the others for you. There's Pretty Peacock and Terracotta Tile. So 2 lovely colours as well. But I'm just sort of trying to find my way with them and see where they fit in with the rest of the colours, but I'm sure it will come because it always does. So there we go. So these are my cards that I think would be suitable for a casual crafter, and again, you get a 2 for 1. Whilst you're making one, you may as well make 2. So that's those 2. And now I'm going to do cards designed for the avid crafter. So we're going to bring in a bit of die cutting this time, and also a little bit of fussy cutting, but the basics are still exactly the same as the first 2 cards. So I'm going to stamp my slice of wood in the Seaside spray. I'm going to stamp a first generation and a second generation, and it doesn't really matter where I stamp these on my card because these are all going to be cut out anyway. I'll next take my mint macaron leaf and I'm going to stamp that there. Oh, I've just inked it up. Stamp it off and stamp that there. Nearly made a boo-boo. And then finally, I'm going to stamp the Rococo Rose small skeleton leaf, first generation and second generation. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip off the wood slices and I'm going to fussy cut those out. So bear with me a little second while I trim around these. They won't take too long. I'm going to leave a little white image because our dies often leave a little white border. I'm no expert when it comes to fussy cutting, but the real trick with this is to hold your scissors still and to move your paper or your card. I'm just going to do a little divot in there. Oh, I've got a little tiny spider crawling along my desk. Are you all still there? Because my screen has disappeared. Bear with me a second. Let's try and find you. I hope you're all still there. Ah, there we go. I'm back. Oh, shame I can't hear you, Baz. I'd enjoy your humming. Shall I do some humming? I was just actually watching a little spider crawl across my desk, but it was only a tiny one, so I didn't freak out. There is a massive one, Shuffy, if you're still watching, there is a massive one in the garage down near where the bottles of drinks are. So if you want to go and get that out for us, that'd be great. It's a bit of a beastie. I was hoping it was dead when I first spotted it. I know that's a bit cruel, but I am a bit scared of spiders. But no, I moved a bottle and yeah, it scurried off, so it's definitely well and truly still alive. Going to do a little divot in there again where there was the little bit of wood slice. Hope I'm staying on camera. Oh, I hope it's a money spider, Lynn. If it's a money spider, then on the 4th of June when the new catalogue goes live, I can order everything. Spider is waiting to be served a drink. Well, I don't know. I'll have to ask him what he wants. I think there's Ribena down there. I think there might be some Pepsi, things like that. Okay, so I've cut out my 2 wood slices. As you can see, not super duper, but do you know what? That's okay. There's no die for these, but there are lots of dies in this set. So the dies that go with this set are brilliant. We have lots of dies that cut out. So if I just grab the stamp set again. So the big tree has got a coordinating die. The tall tree there, I don't know, is that a cypress maybe, something like that? That's also got a coordinating die. The pine trees there, so they're going to be awesome for Christmas trees. They've got coordinating dies. As have the 2 skeleton leaves, they have as well, and I'm going to want those. I'll take them out. And this lovely spray here of leaves, that's also got a coordinating die. And over on this side, we've got the leaf images here. That has a coordinating die. And also this little leaf here has a coordinating die. And as well as that, there are these other 3 images. And they actually do emboss. They don't have a cutting edge, they actually emboss, but you can emboss them and then cut them out. Right, enough of my waffling. I'm going to bring over my die cutting machine now, and I hope it doesn't wobble around too much. I've got my magnetic platform on here so that I can, you're not going to be able to see this, are you? Let me turn it around. Sorry, you probably are quite in the shadow now, but what I'm doing, I'm just lining up my dies over my stamped images on my magnetic platform. Then I'm going to run them through and cut them out. There we go. And I'm going to do that for both of my, oh, that was a bit silly. I've now got my Big Shot handle the wrong way round. I'm just going to crank these through now. Oh yes, Lynn, the bundles are really great value for money. I mean, you get 10% off them. I think Rooted with Nature is in the current catalogue, and so it's currently a bundled 10% off, so it's a really good time to get it. It is going to be available in the new catalogue, which launches in June. However, it won't be available at the bundle because we only ever get the bundle price when it first appears in our catalogues, when the bundles first appear in the catalogues. Right, just going to now run these other 2 leaves through, and then I'll be putting the card together. Just putting my Big Shot over to one side, out of the way, pick up my dies, don't want to lose them. Pop those to one side. So now I'm going to start to construct my cards. So I've got my stronger image slice, I've got my paler image leaves, I've got my paler image slice and my stronger image leaves. So I'm going to turn everything over because this time I want everything popped up on dimensionals. So these are dimensionals, they are little hexagons of double-sided foam. They're really handy for adding a bit of dimension to your project. You get about 300 in a pack, so really good value for money as well. Love value for money. And just pop that one there. So I'm just going to take off all the little backings, and these things you find everywhere. If you've not used Stampin' Dimensionals before, you will find the little backs of them absolutely everywhere. So I'm just going to pop that up on my card and do the same with this one. So get my leaf, oh yeah, the right way round, put the stem face down. And finally this one. Oh. Okay, so that's the Seaside Spray, Mint Macaron and Rococo Rose. will actually go quite nicely together. I thought Rococo Rose might be a little bit like Sweet Sugar Plum, which was an in colour a few years ago, but it's actually really quite different. I can't kind of explain. It's not like I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for about just over 3 years, and I've been a customer a little while before that, but it's not a colour I've seen before, and it's really nice. It's a little bit like Tim Holtz's Victorian Velvet, if you're somebody who's familiar with those colours. Okay, so I still want to add a sentiment to this, and I'm going to add the thank you one again, to thank you for all that you do. But this time I'm going to heat emboss it. I'm going to white heat emboss it on black cardstock. So, because obviously this is designed for an avid crafter, so we're bringing in some techniques, we're bringing in some different equipment. So first rule with heat embossing, always use your embossing buddy. This is an anti-static bag. It helps remove static and oil from your fingertips, and it stops the embossing powder sticking where we don't want it to. So now I'm going to use Versamark, which is a sticky ink. I'm going to ink up that sentiment, and I'm going to, just like I did before, stamp it straight in the middle of one end of the cardstock. Don't know if you can see that, it's just a very it's like a watermark ink pad, but it's a sticky ink and it stays open for a little while, keeping it sticky so we can put our powder on with it. And I'm going to do exactly the same at the other end, because I am making 2 cards at once. The next thing I need to do, put my lid on my Versamark to keep that safe. And I need to add some white embossing powder. And apologies if you can hear the shouting in the background. That's my son getting a bit over enthusiastic, doing whatever he's doing. Something, probably playing Fortnite or something on the computer. So embossing powder, it's very fine. It's really good detailed embossing powder, and it's basically a bit like ground up plastic, and it sticks to where the sticky ink was. And I'm going to do the same on the other end. Okay, so I've now added embossing powder to that. Now if I were to touch it, it would all just come off. I'm going to put my embossing powder to one side and clear up when I'm off camera. I'll just put that over there. But now, to set this, we actually need to heat it up. So apologies for the noise. There's going to be a little bit of a sort of a hairdryer type noise coming on now. I'm just heating up my heat tool just to one side to get it nice and hot, because then it won't warp my card so much. And now I'm going to hold it over my embossing powder, and I don't know how well you can see, but I can now see this changing from a dull white to a nice shiny white. So that's where the powder has now melted, and it's made it now a permanent, if you like. So I'm going to do the same at the other end. Keep your fingers well out of the way, because this does get very, very hot. Now, just going to give this a little waft now, because we just need this to cool down, because it is melted. If I stuck my finger in that now, it would smear. And I also need to give it a little wipe with a dry cloth to get some of that embossing powder off there, because, sorry, the embossing buddy, I think I was a bit overzealous with it. So I'm just going to give it a gentle rub just to get that excess powder off. And now, exactly as I did before, I'm going to trim this into 1 centimetre strips to make my sentiment strips for my 2 cards that I've made. Now, I could trim the 1 centimetre strips down first, but I think it'd be quite difficult to line it up. So that's why I prefer to do it either end of a large piece, and then I can trim it off afterwards. I find that's a little bit easier. Now what I'm going to do is, because I've already got lots of dimension on these cards with the... No, Baz, on this, I'm not going to add flag ends on this occasion. Yeah, good idea though. Something that could look... Do you know what? Maybe I will then. And I'm probably going to do them wonky now, and it'll be all your fault, Baz. So I think I'll do it at the end that's going to be on the right hand side. So to do a flag end, you can use a triple banner punch, or alternatively you can snip up the middle. I think I've snipped a bit too far, never mind. And then you can snip up to the middle and snip up to the middle, and then that will give you a flag end as Baz suggested. And then this one I'll perhaps flag the other end just to see how it looks, just to see the difference. And obviously if you want to, you can actually do both ends. I think my scissors are a bit sticky. I was messing around with some adhesive sheets earlier, so I think my scissors still a little bit sticky. So I think I need to trim that end down a little bit now, because I've ended up going quite close. So to thank you for all that you do, and I think I'll trim this end down as well so it's a little bit closer to the edge. I'll perhaps put that one over that way and that one over that way. And, oh, excuse my arm, I'm just going to put a few little dots of glue, a little bit of glue on the back of these to stick them on. Won't add any further dimension because we've put lots of dimension on already. So that one, oh, let me just pick that up to see if it's going to be straightish. That'll do nicely. Oh, that one was nearly upside down. Oh dear. And let's get this one nice and straight. So for our third card then, we stepped it up a little bit by adding some heat embossing and some die cutting. So now I've got my card bases here, so I think this time we'll go for Rococo Rose under that one, and we'll go for the Seaside Spray under that one. So I'm just, oh hi Jenny, nice of you to join us. Hope you're having a good time. And how's Joe getting on with Dove? So I'm just going to stick these on now. I'm doing some kind of 2-for-1 cards, Jenny. I've done 6 in total. These are the final 2, and I shall bring them all back on camera again in a moment, just to do a little recap. I was having a little play this morning and just had a little bit of one of those sort of common sense type moments, but I thought I'd share it with everybody just in case. Not everybody might have thought about it. So here are the 2 cards then that we've created, sort of a 2-for-1 if you like, for our Avid card maker. So we'll go back to the beginning again. So initially here we've got the 2 for the beginner stamper, so stamps, ink and paper, but you get a 2-for-1. Oh, that's really good news, Jenny. I'm glad things are going well over there. I think you come back, don't you, soon? Come back tomorrow, I think, is it? We all need to get ourselves together for a catch-up, don't we, once you're back? So here are the beginner cards again, stamps, ink and paper, and you get a bit of a 2-for-1 there. Here are the ones for the casual crafter. So again, we've got stamped off images exactly the same as the first time, but this one we just pop the sentiment up on a little strip of cardstock that you could do with a trimmer or some scissors. And finally we've got the cards for the Avid crafter, because we've used some die cutting here and we've also done some heat embossing. However, if you haven't got a die cutting machine, these images are actually nice and straightforward. You could, oh sorry Lynn, you could fussy cut them if you needed to. I'll just recap them again, so I may have had them all too far over. So there we go. We've got beginner and we've got casual and we've got Avid. You're a casual crafter, are you, Baz? No, I think you're Avid. You do lots and lots of lovely things. And I bet you do die cutting and embossing and stuff as well. So that pretty much puts you in the Avid crafter. And you're a kind of have to have it all person. So definitely an Avid crafter, I'd say. Oh, you're back tomorrow, Lynn, lovely. Now, sorry, Jenny. Now, I hope you were able to see all of those this time and I wasn't holding them too far over. I still haven't mastered the art of getting my camera in landscape, whichever way I hold it. And if I do it before the live or after the live, it still seems to turn its way round. Right, well that's me just about done really, so I'm not quite sure how long that was, but that was 6 cards that we made in total there, so not too bad. So give 2 for 1 a try. It can really speed up your card making. Thanks everybody, see you all soon, bye. Thanks Lynn, happy Sunday to you too, bye.